Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. This week I had a request from a lady about making a box card. Now if you look back on my videos, I have this box card that I make all the time. I actually made this a little while ago and used the thoughtful blooms, but some of the old stamps and old paper as well. And if you want the dimensions for this, they are on my blog and they are on my YouTube list of videos. But what the lady wanted was a square box. Now, a long time ago when I started with Stampin' Up, I found the dimensions for this square box online and I don't honestly know who to credit it to. It's so long since I found it, I don't even know where I found it. But it was a box that I made a couple of times and I had to make my own envelopes for it because it's actually, when it's folded flat, it's bigger than our standard envelopes. And I didn't want to use that. And also, when you fold these sides down, they're really long and I didn't want these long sides. So what I did was I altered this and made my own sizings for it so that it fitted in a standard envelope, and I've made it up again for us just to look at today. It's still quite a narrow box, and if you don't want to put an awful lot of things inside, it's perfect, but sometimes you want to have just a little bit wider, almost like the rectangle box, so that you've got more space to put things in. But you still want it to go in an ordinary envelope. And this one does. And as I said, it's my design. And it only used half a piece of card, cut at 5.5 by 8.5. Now this first box that I used to make, you ended up using a whole piece of card. And you had loads of scraps and waste. So it wasn't the best. But this one I've used for a while. And as I said, if you just need a narrow box, it's perfect. But what I've come up with is this box, and this is my favourite to date. Again, it only uses half a piece of card, and when you fold it flat, it will go in a standard envelope. Let's find an envelope to show you. It's not one that matches, but you can see that it goes in an envelope. It's got a little bit of extra at the sides, and it will just fit in, so don't make it so that your pieces protrude over the top. If they protrude a little bit at the sides, it's okay. Like this little steering wheel, it means it's fine because I've got a little bit extra at the sides. But let me show you how I make this. I have already done all the stamping and all the cutting just so that we focus on making the actual box. Now, it does just use half a piece of cardstock, and this is Night of Navy, and it's cut at 4.25 by 11. So it is just one piece of cardstock, scored straight down cut right down the middle. I just want to check that my phone is still videoing. Yep, it just made a little sound and I wasn't quite sure. Okay, so I have put the sizings just here for you, and this is the card that we're going to make today. Usually I put all my sizings on my blog, but today I'm just putting them here so that you can look at it and probably make it along with me. So I've got my piece of card and I've got my trimmer. And so on the short side, I'm going to score it at, oh, did I not write that down? Oh yeah, I did, look. I'm going to score it at 2 inches. Now it is 4.25, so one of the, either the top panel or the bottom panel will be slightly bigger. So, but that's what I want. Okay, so that's it scored on that short side. Now I'm going to score that long side. And I'm going to score it at 2.5 and at 5 and at 7.5. Oh, I'll have to move it along so that you can see, I think. And then at 10. So it's just every 2.5 inches. and that will leave you with a little piece at this end that's 1 inch wide. Now you can leave it at that because that's going to be your tab that glues the whole of the box together, but I like to have just a narrower tab, so I'm just going to cut off 1/2 inch. But as I say, you don't have to, you can leave it all on. Okay, so there we are. Short side is scored at 2, long side 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, and that leaves either a 1 inch strip or a 1/2 inch strip. And then we're done with the trimmer, so let's put that away. And I want it so that that 2.25 inch panel is at the bottom. And if you look at this, you can see that when the flaps are down, you've just got that little bit at the bottom. I like having the smaller flap on here. If you wanted it the other way, you can certainly turn it around the other way so that the smaller side is there and the bigger side folds over. Or you can score it exactly down the middle. You know, it really doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. So I'm going to get my scissors, and remember this very small edge. I'm going to use my big scissors. Just that way I only have to open and close the blade once. I'm going to cut down right to that score line, and then here I'm just going to make a little angled cut. We don't need this piece, but that's going to make our tab, so when it folds in and we glue that, you don't have this corner piece sticking out that might stick sort of above the edges or anything. It just makes it for a neater little fold. Okay, now I'm going to cut these 3 lines at the top here, just down to that score line. Okay, and that's all the cutting and scoring that this box needs. I'm going to fold this way, but at the moment I'm not going to fold these pieces back because I want to just decorate the bottom to start with. Now you'll see that on this one I've got, let's close it up a little bit so you can see just the bottom. I've got 3 sides decorated with DSP. On the other side, decorated with just white card, and that's so that you've got somewhere to write. Now, so I'm going to put those 3 pieces of DSP on, and I've already cut them. And you can see the DSP, the bottom panels are 2.25 by 2. And I've used some of the Sail Away suite. I've used that for my stamping, the Sailing Home stamps, and I've used the DSP, which very soon is retiring, so if you want this, get it fast. Okay, now just before I start to glue, I want to show you. I like to put my white cardstock on this piece. It's where the gluing goes, because then when you start and decorate the inside, you're covering over that little tab. It just makes it a little bit more secure. So this is going to be for my side that I do the writing on. I'm going to stick that on first. I've got my white here. So I'm going to stick it on all with liquid glue. Just for today, it's a little bit faster. Just scribble the glue over. Okay, and then let me show you again. This is the piece that will stick over the tab. So this is the piece I want to put the white on. And I just find it makes it a little bit stronger because you haven't got that little overlap just on its own. It means you've got, on the inside, you've got another piece of card sticking over it. Okay, now time to put our DSP on the bottom. Sometimes on these boxes, I'll do a layer of card, like on this one, look. I'll do a layer of card and then the DSP. And I just make sure that it's at 1/4 inch increments. So this piece, if you wanted to do card instead, these pieces here would be 2.25 by 2, and you would do your DSP just 1/4 inch smaller. So 2 by 1 3/4. But for this, I'm not doing a layer of card first. I'm only doing the DSP. Okay. So that's our 3 pieces. And I'm going to glue it together next. So I'm going to put my glue on here. And let's do it an easier way. Let's fold it down and fold this piece over. And then we know that it's going to fold flat in the envelope and it's going to stay still. I just like to fold it the other way as well, just to make sure. Okay, so we've now got our box all folded. We know that this is the back and it's all ready. I'm going to fold down now these 3 panels, the 2 side panels and the front panel. Okay, so let's find the piece that I'm going to put on here, and it will cover up, I think it's really difficult to see on camera, it will cover up our little tab as well. Now I've cheated a little bit. I'm going to put a white piece in here, but I know that I want to have a little bit of stamping on that background, and I don't want to stamp it when it's already assembled. So I've actually just stamped 3 little birds on from the Sailing Home. And so I know it's cheating, but you know, it makes it easier in the long run. Okay. And it's easier to put in now. I'm just going to put that in, leave a little border all the way around the top and the bottom. You see it's just got that little border. And it's sticking over that tab. Excuse me. It's sticking over that tab so that I know everything is, you know, it's not on show, it's all safe and secure, and it's got that extra glue over the top of it to stop it coming undone. Okay. Now, I'm going to put the DSP on these top pieces, and I've chosen just another one from the same set of paper, and these pieces are the 2 1/4 by 1 3/4. They're just a bit smaller, and I've just got one for each side. Sometimes what I'll do is corner punch these just to make them rounded. Sometimes it just gives you a little bit of a different shape. Let me just get my other box back and I'll show you. See on this one, that's what I did. I just used my corner rounder punch and just made the edges curved. It just, just gives you a little bit of a different shape and a little bit of a different look. And it only takes seconds to cut the corners. One thing you do have to watch with this, and this is why I always do this top layer last, is to get your DSP going the right way. Sometimes what I've done, if I've had this just ready to go and I've tried to put the DSP on, sometimes I put the DSP upside down on these pieces. So for me, that's why I wait, because otherwise they're upside down. And with some patterns it doesn't matter, but I assure you with some patterns it does. Okay, now I've got 2 little support strips cut out of the same colour as my base card. And these are 3 1/2 by 1 inch. And I just score at 1/2 inch on each side. So that makes the middle piece 2 1/2, which is the width of our box. And I always fold one way and one the other. I don't know if it makes any difference, but that's the way I've always done it, and so I carry on doing it that way. Okay, and these just go inside our box. When I put them in, I just bend them a little bit with my fingers, and I don't worry too much if this glue gets onto this side. If that worries you, just glue one side at a time. So I stick it, sort of leave a little 1/2 inch or so piece at the front, stick that piece on, and then to get this piece in the right place, I fold my box. Let's just get my pokey tool and make sure that that little flap is in there, and I just close it. And that way I know my box, when it's folded, it's gonna sit straight and fold flat, and that it's in the right place. Okay, so there's our first one. And you do exactly the same with the second one. So fold one way, one the other. And once you know how to make these boxes, you'll make them all the time. So stick that piece in, hold it down a little second, and then, whoops, let's move that out a little bit. Squash that down, whoops. Fold it flat. Now I know that I've got a little bit of glue on the inside there, and the liquid glue does remain a bit sticky. You might not be able to see, but just here there's a little bit of glue, so I'm going to wipe it off with my finger, but it is a bit sticky, so I'm just going to use my glue eraser. And it's difficult for you to see, I'm just erasing along where the glue is. It's easy to get in, but it's just difficult to show you. There we are. So now that glue, it's gone. So it's not going to stick onto anything. And that's the base of your box, all made. It really is quick, simple, folds flat, goes in an envelope, and when the recipient gets that out, it's quite a wow factor card. And it's not really all that difficult. So let's decorate it. I'm going to do the same kind of decoration that I did here, just to show you how I made everything. Okay, and I've got all my pieces already cut out. I made a lot yesterday when I was starting to design this card. So I've got lighthouses, I've got some ship's wheels, I've got some of the big yachts, a couple of the small yachts. What else did I do? Oh, I did an anchor, but I ended up not using that one. But you can certainly put anchors on as well. And really, I did anything that had a die with it, because I didn't want to sit and fussy cut. I just had a lazy day. And I also used this one, whoops, I used this one for the sentiment. And I wanted a birthday card. And this set didn't have a birthday sentiment on that I wanted. And one of my favourite sets of stamps that I've used so much is from the Looking Up kit. And it has this happy birthday, which is the one I use a lot. I just love the font on that, and you can use it masculine, feminine, it works for everybody. But I also like this one that says, I am so very thankful for you. And actually you can see the ones that I like because I've stamped with them so many times. So I've also done the very thankful for you, and I think it fits perfectly in this little die that comes with this set. So that is one of my absolute favourite sets. Came from the kit Looking Up, but when I finished with that kit, I'm going to carry on using these stamps because I just get so much use out of them. Now, if you wanted to colour these and use watercolour crayons or inks, that would be great. But if you wanted to use blends, don't forget that they creep through on the back, they show through. So if I use blends on something like this and it's going to be on show at the back, what I also do is cut an extra just out of Whisper White. I cut an extra with the die. I don't stamp it, I just cut it. And then I can always glue it on the back there so that nobody can see the colour that creeps through. And it makes it just a little bit thicker as well. So just a little tip in case you want to colour with blends. Okay, so let's get to decorating. I've already put that little stamp on like I showed you. I'm going to use one of the lighthouses. I stamped it in crumb cake and I cut it out with the die, and we won't see all of it, and I want it to go over to the left hand side, but this little pokey bit here is going to be in the way, so I'm just going to cut that out, and now it will go over here. You can stick it down flat, but I'm going to put dimensionals on it. I want it to just, be a little bit raised take those off. And I'm going to put all my pieces on, and then I'm going to show you how I made this water, because it's not a die that's in that set, and it's not even a water die. Okay, so let's pop that on there. Okay, and then I want to put some of my yachts on. The big yacht is going to go at the back, at the front here. So I want these two small yachts to go sort of at the back, and this one I want it to go on here. I'm going to put it at this side because my second one is going to go over here where it's near the lighthouse, so it's going to stick right on the back flap. I'm going to put a dimensional on that one. I'm going to put the dimensional near the bottom, and I want it to be near that lighthouse, so it looks like it's sort of, oh, I'm going to put it a little bit higher up. Let's just move that up. So it looks, you know, like it's there sailing past the lighthouse. There we go. Now my other one here, I'm going to stick here, and I'm going to put it on with a little tiny bit of glue, and I'm only going to put my liquid glue right at the bottom because I only want it to catch a little bit of the card. I want it to stick up quite a bit. Okay, and I'm sort of moving it up a little bit so I've got just some of it caught, but the majority of it is just freestanding. And then I'm doing the same with my big yacht. I'm going to put it at the front, but I'm only putting glue on this very, very bottom edge. And I've staggered them. So, oops, let's just hold that. It's not quite glued. There we go. I've staggered them a little bit so that if you look from different angles, you can probably see all three of the yachts. Okay, let's do our front, and then we'll do the little waves. I showed you that I've already stamped and die cut this out. I used one of the other die cuts in here. That's the little steering wheel. And excuse me. I used crumb cake on here, but this is the soft suede card. It's just a little shade darker. And that I'm going to put so that it overlaps this front panel. But when it's folded, see, remember, I can have it protruding a little bit at the left if I want, but it just sticks up over there. But when it's folded, that's fine. So I'm just going to put glue just a little bit around the bottom. And I did make this as a request for somebody who asked me about a square box. If you've got anything that you want to see being made, send me a message, and I'll always give it a try. If I know how to make it, I'll make it. If I don't, I'll have a look for it. Okay, so there's our little steering wheel on there. And I just like how when the box is finished, that sticks up as well, so that you get a little bit more dimension. Okay, so now here's the little piece with die cut. I'm going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals across it. Take the backs off those. I'm just going to place that right in the middle here. I still see my little steering wheel. And then I used some of the little trinkets, the Sail Away trinkets, and they have little anchors and little steering wheels. So you could put either of them on, but because I already had a steering wheel here, I did the anchor, and I put a tiny little bit of the baker's twine in, the one that's with this set as well, with the Night of Navy and the crumb cake. And then I just frayed the edges at the top. And to stick this on, I found the best thing to stick these is actually our glue dots. And I put one at the bottom, and then if there's any bits that are sticking out, I just push it in so that you know, they've not got a little piece of sticky stuck at the bottom. And then I'm going to put one on the back piece here as well. And the same, I'm just going to push in any little bits that are protruding. There we go. There. So, the last thing to do are the little waves. Now, I didn't have a die that would cut waves in this set, and I looked through my other sets and I didn't really have anything either. But what I found was my mountain air set. And remember, it's got that piece that cuts out the mountains, like this. Well, what I did was I just got a little piece of balmy blue, and I put my mountain across it. Let's see where this piece is. Oh, where's this piece? I bet it's that piece. Yeah, it is. So what I did was I had a little piece of blue. I put that across. Let's find a piece to show you so you can see it's easier. It's not the right colour, but I cut a piece like that. And that meant that I've got this piece of card for waves and this one as well. So I had two different shapes for my waves. Let's pop that back in there. So if you don't have the right die set, don't worry. There's always something else that you can use. So here are my pieces. I don't know if any of these pieces, oh, they will fit, but I don't need to play jigsaws right now. And what I've done is I've just cut 3 smaller pieces. So these are 2.5 inches, which is that exact width there. And I'm going to put one at the back, one on this row, and one on this row. And for this one, I think I might just put it on with glue. You can put it down just as far as you want. I like, on this one, I like the top of it to be level, excuse me, with the flaps here. And that way you get to see a little bit, oh, that's a little bit too long. Let me just take a tiny bit off. That way you get to see a little bit of the lighthouse and a little bit of the yacht. There. Now, I'm going to take that yacht out because I want to see the bottom of it. See if I can poke that off with my pokey tool. And then because I've got that little piece there, I'm going to move the thing up so you can't see where I've taken that yacht from. I'm going to take that dimensional off. I might be better doing that with my pokey tool. Where's that? Can't see where it is. Oh, here it is, with this one. See if I can push it off with that little round blade. Yeah, it will come off. A little bit more of it anyway. Okay, I'm going to put another dimensional back on. Cover that up. And then I'm going to have my yacht sticking out so that it's actually still at the side, but it looks like it's in the water. I think that's what I did with this one. It was, look. Okay. Okay, so my next row. Let me see, that's going to be the right length, and I'm going to put this on with a dimensional so that the water looks as though it's standing away a little bit from the yacht. I don't have much of the way of these little strips left, but I think this might work. I'm going to just put it down at the bottom. And then if you don't want them to stick out like this, you can always just put liquid glue on. really want to see too much of the blue. So I'm sort of fiddling about here. Let's see if that would fit better at the front. No, that was just a bit too high. I'm just going to chop a tiny bit of that off. There we go. That's better. And then last of all, this one at the front. And with this one, you can either put dimensionals on, or I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on. I don't really need too many layers. Need another set of hands. There. Okay. And that's my little box card. So decorate them however you want. But I think you just get a little bit, with that extra width, a little bit more of a view of your card as well. So you can put a little bit extra in it. And, you know, I do think that box cards are lovely. They are one of my very favourite things to make. So there we are. That's my 2 cards for today. If you have any questions at all about how to do the box itself, or you missed something that I didn't explain, you know, just send me a message. But here are the sizes that you need for this one, knowing that it will fit in a normal envelope, and it shouldn't be really extra postage unless you put lots and lots of layers of dimensions on. If it's going to be a problem with that thickness, don't put dimensionals on, just glue it all. Okay, thanks ever so much for watching me on this lovely sunny Sunday. I'll see you all again later in the week. Bye everyone, stay safe.